Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. A Catholic bishop in Britain has criticised an assisted suicide bill going through the UK Parliament, calling it a crime against life. Bishop Richard Moth of Arundel in Brighton spoke against the bill that is currently in the House of Lords for debate. Through a pastoral letter, the bishop urged Catholics to oppose the bill, adding that it is essential to provide the best possible end-of-life care, including spiritual and pastoral support for the dying. Bishop Moth also expressed concern over the recent decision of the British Medical Association, that is the largest organisation of medics in the United Kingdom, to remain neutral with regard to assisted suicide. He also reaffirmed church teaching that no one can choose to take the life of another person. Bishop Georg Batzing of the Diocese of Limburg in Germany, and who also heads the country's episcopal conference, has stressed the urgent need for repentance for the abuse scandal that has rocked the church. While addressing his brother bishops during their autumn plenary assembly, which concludes today, the prelate said the church too has its share of responsibility for the widening gap between the gospel and contemporary culture. He also said that the vocation to the episcopal ministry requires forsaking what is impious and damaging to the community. The assembly is focused on tackling the issue of clerical sexual abuse and the ongoing German synodal path that was launched in 2019 to discuss a whole range of contemporary theological and organisational matters. In Defence of Christians, a non-profit advocacy outfit that champions the cause of persecuted believers around the world, held a two-day national summit in Washington, D.C. on the 21st and 22nd of September. The summit had as its theme Combating Oppression and Empowering the Oppressed, with one of its highlights being the Solidarity Dinner that was broadcast around the world. Several US senators and members of the House of Representatives were honoured at the event with the IDC Congressional Champion 2021 Award for their role in protecting human rights and religious freedom. The US-based Heritage Foundation, a research and educational group that promotes conservative public policies, has warned that the Women's Health Protection Act advocated by pro-choice lawmakers in the US House of Representatives and Senate is a, quote, Trojan horse that will wipe out existing and future pro-life laws in states. Melanie Israel, a policy analyst at the group, said this week that the proposed measure endangers every pro-life law passed over the last 40 years. The Women's Health Protection Act was reintroduced last June, and it could come up for a House vote. Separately, Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone of San Francisco slammed the proposed legislation, saying in a statement that it was nothing short of child sacrifice. The Archbishop urged Catholic politicians to pay heed to the words of the Pope, who said abortion is homicide, and also appealed to believers to pray and fast for members of Congress to desist from enacting the act. Bloodshed continues in the state of Chin in Myanmar. In the latest incident, a Baptist pastor was shot dead by the military. Government troops are engaged in an offensive against militia forces in the state that has a large Christian population. Pastor Tsung Biak Hum was shot dead on September the 18th while he was helping a member of his congregation douse the flames of his house that had been hit by artillery attack. The Chin Baptist Convention has condemned the murder of the pastor. Fighting has intensified in recent days as the military is determined to wipe out the Chin Defence Force that is fighting for freedom for Chin. In the attack carried out by the military, 19 homes were destroyed and hundreds have been displaced. Government troops have also occupied churches, desecrating sacred objects. 4 days before the killing of the pastor, a Baptist church in Talang was hit by artillery fire. However, thankfully, there were no casualties. The Taliban's return to power has fueled the growing threat of the Islamic State and other extremists in Iraq, so says the Chaldean Catholic Archbishop of Erbil, Bashar Warda. In an interview with Pontifical Charity Aid to the Church in Need, the prelate said the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan certainly encourages those who support that type of regime in Iraq. Archbishop Warda warned that ISIS extremists are very much active in the country, and he expressed concern over their return to power in Iraq and in Syria. The prelate also said that the withdrawal of US troops will have a negative impact on Christians and other religious minorities. A historic Catholic cathedral in Ukraine, which was visited by Pope St. John Paul II in 2001, has been severely damaged in a fire. The Cathedral of St. Nicholas in the Ukrainian capital Kiev caught fire during a music rehearsal earlier this month, destroying its historic organ and damaging the interior. The blaze also caused a chandelier to fall down. As per the State Emergency Service report, there were no casualties and an investigation is underway. The cathedral was built in a neo-Gothic style and was consecrated in 1909. During the days of the Soviet Union, the church was confiscated by the authorities and converted into a concert hall. Even after Ukraine's independence in 1991, the Catholic community's appeal to reclaim the church has been ignored. Catholic faithful rent the cathedral to celebrate Holy Mass. Catholics in Vietnam are mourning the death of a French missionary priest who passionately served the people in the years that followed the Vietnam War. Father Jean-Baptiste Etcherin, who was the Superior General of the Paris Foreign Mission Society twice, passed away at the age of 89 in Hue, central Vietnam. The priest arrived in the country in 1959 after it gained independence from France. In 1966, he was appointed parish priest in Dong Ha near the 17th parallel, the provisional military demarcation line dividing the nation into North and South Vietnam after the 1954 Indochina War. When the communists seized Saigon in 1975, Father Etcherin was forced to leave the country. While in Europe, he took care of Vietnamese refugees fleeing the communist regime. He returned in 2010 with the permission of the government upon the invitation of the Vietnamese Church. May he rest in peace. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit SW News for more updates. Shalom.